The 1980s was a decade of excess. Everything was bigger, louder, and let's be honest, a little bit ridiculous. It was a time of bold fashion choices that we all thought were the absolute peak of cool. But looking back now, well, some of them didn't age like fine wine. Today, we're counting down 10 of the cringiest trends from the 80s. The fads that time rightfully tried to make us all forget. Let's start with the things that defined our very shape. The clothes that built the unforgettable silhouette of the 1980s. Shoulder pads. If there was one trend that took over everything, it was shoulder pads. Blouses, jackets, dresses, even t-shirts came with built-in padding. The idea was power dressing, a way for women entering the workforce to project confidence. But some of those pads were so large, you could have landed a small plane on them. They were mocked, sure, but for a while, the bigger they got, the more normal they felt. Until one day, you saw a photo of yourself and thought, wait a minute, was I secretly playing for the NFL? It was the fastest way to look like a linebacker who was late for a board meeting. Acid-washed jeans. Nothing says, I survived the 80s, quite like a pair of denim that looks like it lost a fight with a bucket of bleach. For a while, it felt like everyone was wearing acid-washed jeans. These things were bold, loud, a little bit punk, and a little bit glam. The mottled, high-contrast look made it seem like your jeans had been through something and came out cooler on the other side. They came in all styles, tight-fitting, baggy, high-waisted. And yes, if you were feeling really wild, you'd pair them with more acid-washed denim. It was the official uniform for people who wanted their pants to look as distressed as their parents were by their music choices. Parachute pants. Now, let's clear something up right away. Parachute pants are not the same as MC Hammer pants. While Hammer rocked those big, billowy trousers in the early 90s, parachute pants from the mid-80s were a different beast altogether. They were tight-fitting, shiny, and made almost entirely of nylon. The name came from the material, which was like that used to make actual parachutes. Originally designed for breakdancing, these pants quickly became a street fashion staple. All you needed was confidence, and maybe a Walkman blasting Run DMC. They were the ultimate way to say, I've got moves, even if your only move was swishing loudly down the school hallway. Now that we have the silhouette, let's talk about the details. The hair, the accessories, the things that completed the look. The mullet, perhaps the most mocked and strangely beloved hairstyle of the entire 1980s. The mullet. If you didn't live through it, you might think it was just for hockey players or small-town rockers. But you'd be way off. The mullet was everywhere. From school teachers to pop stars, the message was clear. Short and neat in the front, long and wild in the back. That iconic phrase, business in the front, party in the back, wasn't just a joke. It was the ethos of an era. It was the haircut that tried to be everything to everyone, and somehow ended up looking like two different people got into a fight on your head. Aqua Net hairspray. The towering hairstyles of the 1980s didn't just happen, they were engineered. And the secret weapon behind every sky-high bang and gravity-defying wave? One word: Aqua Net. This wasn't just hairspray. It was practically industrial-strength cement in a can. One spray could freeze a curl in place for hours. 2 sprays, and your hair wasn't moving all day. And let's not forget the smell. That unmistakable Aqua Net scent would hit you like a ton of bricks. The result was often less music video fabulous and more helmet made of hair. Aqua Net, because your hair should be as flammable as your fashion choices. Lace fingerless gloves, the Madonna look. Thanks to Madonna, one of the oddest yet most iconic fashion items of the 80s was born. Fingerless lace gloves. Elegant, edgy, and incredibly impractical? Yes, to all three. These delicate, often black or white gloves became the ultimate accessory for teens who wanted to look rebellious and romantic at the same time. You'd see them paired with fishnet tops and teased hair. Suddenly, gloves weren't just for church or winter. They were for style, baby. They were for when you wanted your hands to be fancy, but not, warm or fully functional. Okay, we've covered some truly cringy fashion, but stick around to the end because we're going to talk about the 180s tradition that put the entire family's awkwardness on display for the whole world to see. And now, let's talk about the trends that weren't just about what you wore, but how you wore it. The attitude. Sweaters, draped over shoulders. The ultimate 1980s symbol of prep school privilege. The sweater not worn, but draped oh so carefully over the shoulders. It didn't matter if it was 80 degrees outside. If you were part of the preppy crowd, you knew the drill. Instead of wearing sweaters the normal way, they were treated like oversized scarves, tied loosely around the neck. That sweater around the neck move screamed, "I'm classy, I'm confident, and I probably go to an Ivy League school." Looking back though, it's a bit confusing. If it's cold, just wear the sweater. If it's hot, why bring it at all? Because nothing says, "I'm prepared for a sudden mild chill," quite like a sweater you have absolutely no intention of ever actually putting on. Pastel suits. The Miami Vice effect. Let's be honest. On the show Miami Vice, pastel suits looked incredible. Don Johnson's character, Crockett, could pull off pale pinks and baby blues like he was born for it. But for the rest of us? Not so much. Inspired by the show, everyday folks tried to bring that pastel swagger into their own wardrobes. Unfortunately, instead of looking like television detectives chasing criminals on South Beach, most of us ended up looking like we were headed to a wedding reception in a soap opera. This look was so tied to the show that you couldn't wear a pastel suit without someone joking, "Hey, where's your speedboat, Crockett?" It was a look that should have come with a warning. Professional stunt driver on a closed course. Do not attempt. Awkward family portraits. Back in the 1980s, getting a family portrait wasn't casual. It was an event. You'd head to a professional photo studio, and oh boy, the results were unforgettable. Think teased up hair stacked sky high, shoulder pads that could rival a linebacker's, and sweaters so loud they practically screamed. But what really pushed these portraits into cringeworthy territory were the awkward poses. Floating heads superimposed over a staircase, hands on shoulders in the stiffest possible way, and everyone looking like they were auditioning for a cheesy soap opera. Some families even color coordinated their outfits, making them look like backup dancers for a music video. 80s family portraits, where love was measured by the height of your mom's hair and the sheer awkwardness of your dad's pose. And there you have it, 10 of the cringiest trends that made the 80s so unforgettable. So, let's hear it. Which one of these did you proudly rock back in the day, and which one makes you cringe the most now? Let us know your story in the comments below. If this trip down a very questionable memory lane made you laugh, please give this video a thumbs up, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next adventure into the past. Thanks for watching.